Overview. Accepts, develops and votes on TELx IPs to change or introduce new elements to TELx, to alter TELx harvesting rules, and is responsible for generally representing the interests of and informing their constituency in matters pertaining to TELx. Duties. The TELx Council is required to 1. Plan, finance and coordinate implementation of improvements to the TELx system. 2. Regulate the flow of TEL issuance through TELx to be harvested by liquidity miners. 3. Introduces, alters and enforces TELx operational rules, including harvesting, information and communication, maintenance and construction. 4. Informs miners of the activities and outcomes related to TELx and results from any snapshot votes. These snapshot votes are a requirement for all council members, and in order for a proposal to move forward, there needs to be a 5 of 6 majority vote, and all 6 members voting within 5 days from the start, it being posted to Snapshot. Okay, with the agenda, I've been asked if Halil is here. He might like to jump in and talk about the TELx website. Is Halil here?
No, I don't think.
I think he's not.
Okay, all right. Let's go back to the beginning then. So the first item on the agenda is Uniswap rewards and distribution. So, Marcus, I think is that you?
Yes, that is me. I can fire off a message to Halil if the council feels that's.
Yeah, I was just told that if he was here, he might like to jump in early because of the time difference. He might like to, but if that's up to him.
Yeah, that would be good, Marcus. We do have Storm in attendance as well, and there's some obvious, relationship between what Storm is doing on the university and Khalil's work.
Sure. I just sent him a message, so we'll see. I'll let you know if he responds. And
great.
In the meantime, I will give an update on the rewards and the hook. So essentially, there's a lot going on, but spec plan of attack all solidified. And the biggest update is that the hook is complete. The implementation on the Solidity side, all said and done. So it is currently under internal review. So Grant is reviewing the code and as well as interfacing with our preferred audit vendor. So it is, I've essentially pushed it up, finalized the repo, documented the spec in its final form thoroughly in English, as well as provided a document which sort of goes into the technicals of the project so that the auditors have everything they need to do their work in a timely manner. So previous audits for the hook spanned 3 days. This should be no different. So, and to make sure that we get the biggest bang for our buck, basically with these sorts of things, because they can be very complicated, especially because Uniswap v4 is sort of offloaded most of the data availability work to the developers and the integrators, which in this case is us. There's a lot of considerations and a lot of edge cases to consider, a lot of just workings under the hood that are best described and discussed in English, so that when the auditors basically start looking at the code base, they can look right away and get a quick understanding of the goals of what all the implementations are without being dragged down by investigating everything from syntax to small mechanism nuances in Uniswap. So that is slated, it could be as soon as Friday for the audit to start. probably more realistically, we have to find, basically what we're trying to find is an auditor with experience working with Uniswap v4, because again, that will give us the biggest bang for our buck in terms of just security guarantees, best practices, and the nature of the smart contract being immutable, future proofing. So that's what's going on. And I will say, one of the advantages to moving all of this on chain is that is really the data availability is just far superior to anything that you can do off chain. So I don't want to be too technical, but essentially what the hook does is on every action by liquidity providers, it tabulates information, and that information is actually provided by Uniswap itself in terms of fees. So every time a liquidity provider creates a position, modifies that position, adds liquidity, removes liquidity, burns the position, I selected the best APIs for it, where Uniswap will actually do all of its fee tabulation calculation internally and sort of feed it into the hook directly at modification time. So in the exact moment that every position is modified, all of the fee information, all of the swap information, all the volume and liquidity considerations, they're coming directly from Uniswap v4 as the source of truth. So I'm confident that the hook will be in good shape and a solid sort of future-proofed way for this program to continue going forward.
Can I just interrupt there, Marcus, if I may?
Yeah.
Does that mean rewards, incentives will only be generated when the liquidity provision is modified, because that's when you're getting the information from Uniswap?
No. So there's 3 components to the final spec. It's not merged yet, so if I provide it, it'll be on a branch. I can still do so. So the first place, if anybody, this is probably great for just PR perspective, anybody who is curious about how the spec works, in this repo, this is going to be on a specific branch, so there will be a better sort of place to look at it soon here in the next couple days. But the first thing will be, I think, to refer them to the spec, because that goes into detail, and there's a like I said, a technical rundown of it, and then there is a non-technical one, and that's this file. And so to answer your question, there are 3 components as part of the spec. Here is the link for that. So the hook is just one component. Obviously, the hook is the most important component, and it will be able to enable new pools, manage multiple different pairs at the hook level, and that's sort of the central sort of source of truth, because it's being fed information from Uniswap v4. But beyond the spec itself, or the hook itself, that's where the rewards logic comes in. So the hook is only responsible for accepting, the truest information from Uniswap v4, storing it, and sort of emitting an event every time that happens. So that data is going to be significantly more available than what we've been working with previously, but it's not actually sort of doing anything in terms of rewards. The rewards then will be much simpler to derive, because all of the data availability is being handled at the hook level. So the second component of the spec is the rewards sort of script, which now, rather than sort of reconstruct everything that Uniswap is doing off chain, that data is available from the hook. So the reward script can consume the information that's fed into the hook, sort of as like a second step, and then derive the rewards that way. So to answer your question, yes and no, but largely no.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, and so that way, we can. That gives us the flexibility to use whatever period length that we want. Previously, using a daily period didn't make any sense, because the numbers would sort of not there would be precision loss with working with certain numbers. That's actually probably still true for pools that have a large sort of gap in terms of like value. For example, if we were doing ETH to EMXN, for example, or ETH to I don't know, some fiat currency that is denominated much higher, Zimbabwean dollars, for example, you would still run into that problem, but largely
Okay.
the data
Yeah.
will be more available, so the off-chain script can consume it.
Okay, cool. Just continuing then from what you said, the auditors haven't really been engaged yet. You're hoping to have that by Friday.
Well,
That
I said
then-
at the earliest, more likely next week, but yeah, possibly.
Are we cutting things very, very fine in terms of having the hook audited, any issues resolved, and the functionality made available so that the hook will be ready for the election, which is our real critical path item?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, maybe about just a week of leeway is kind of, I think, what we're looking at. So if the audit takes 3 to 5 days, implementing the fixes, ideally there are no major fixes, but that's the whole timeline for this has been.
Is there a plan B?
A plan B.
If there are an issue, some sort of issue discovered that then prevents us releasing the hook in time for election.
I was not thinking that there was any option for a plan B, but yeah, I mean, if there's another
okay,
some
just
sort of insurance plan, that would
given
be...
the history that we've had 3 audits already on the stuff, I think it's just prudent for us as a council and the TAL to kind of work at least in the background on some sort of contingency, because I don't know what will happen if we can't capture the relevant information via a hook for the election waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ty and Marcus, I think if it's a big if, I think, but you're right, Ty, we need to consider that something might go wrong. The only thing that can happen is that we delay the elections.
Well,
we're not going to delay the elections because we can't get the script going. Like, I think the elections are in place. Like, that's set in stone. We're not adjusting that.
No, sorry, not the elections, but the voting. Because if we haven't got the hook,
but those two things go hand in hand, Tim. I don't think you can adjust one without adjusting the other.
Yeah, I'm just
let's try to focus on what Marcus is saying and what Marcus is doing. Let's get this to the audit as soon as possible. If something does come up where it's going to be an issue and we're going to be really, really, really tight, then I think collectively we need to put our heads together and see what we can do to get to a plan B. And maybe over the next couple of days, like we can take that time to think about something. But like, I think we gotta not try to spend too much time on a plan B, thinking that it may or may not happen. Let's try to focus on the task at hand and try to push that forward as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think all the eggs in the plan A basket was the assumption I was rolling with, and as far as my ability to deliver on that goes, that is really the only option that I have time-wise. But that's not to say, a plan B option might be worth ideating on. I think if the council has any sort of ideas, it just cannot be, it cannot involve more code implementation for me, because then at that point we're taking away from plan A. So if there's some other, third-party option that could give us a nice insurance policy, I'm all for it. But yeah, again, so as far as like my perspective goes, I will need to continue going balls to the wall on this plan A in order to make it.
Well, I certainly appreciate all your hard work, Marcus, because I know from the emails exchanges we've all been having there's a huge amount of effort gone in. Can I address the elephant in the room about the current reward distribution via the script?
Yeah.
I saw your summary. I just read it before the meeting started, and basically, you're still of the opinion that there's no issue with the way the rewards are calculated based on the script that we had available, and it's just, I'm summarizing here, it's just something we'll have to live with until the hooks get implemented. Can you kind of comment on that?
Yeah. I would say that's accurate. So there's an open source contributor, which I am trying very hard to encourage, and there's the use of AI is a whole wrench in the software development workflow, because on the one hand, it's an extraordinarily powerful tool. On the other hand, if it's not used properly, it outscales sort of correctness. And so there's been a claim that the reward script is not accurately tabulating and deriving rewards. And I want to emphasize that, like, there's always a potential for there to be an issue in a code implementation. It doesn't matter how battle tested. The Bitcoin network has had two major bugs since its inception. One was an infinite mint glitch, where you could mint an infinite number of Bitcoin, and whenever that was, 2009, 2011. And so, like, there's always the potential for an issue to be present. And so when somebody comes and claims that they found an issue, generally I must treat it as legitimate. And the usage of AI makes this scale very, very poorly, because it is somebody who doesn't necessarily, even somebody who is, does have skills in terms of software and these components that are very sensitive, can run a code base through an AI and generate oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of content, which, if you read it, might sound compelling, but at its core might just be a hallucination. And so that just happened. Well, it's happened a couple times from this contributor, but the contributor is doing a good thing in, like, they're trying to contribute, they're trying to sort of harden the code base. And so I want to encourage that, because we're understaffed. With Amir gone, I'm working 2 jobs as one person, and it is, like, we need manpower. So it's important to me that this contributor is encouraged and like just guided in the right direction. But it's very tough to balance that with the fact that some of these. So I said we have a workflow for open source contribution, and that is to provide, the burden of proof lies on the contributor to prove that there is an issue that needs to be addressed, and it should be done through GitHub, through the proper channels. And so all of those actually qualifications were met in this last round of contributions, and so that's great. But for example, the AI was hallucinating and providing changes to files for 10IP1 program, when we're talking about TELx here, right? That has no relationship whatsoever to a TELx reward script. So those files should not be touched. Those files should not be changed. There's dependencies that were added. There's just a whole gamut of things that an AI can generate in an instant that consumes 2.5 hours of my time to review, to see, why is this being changed? Does it have any relationship to TELx at all? No. Okay, so I just spent a half hour now against the AI's seconds worth of generation, and that doesn't scale. So balancing the potential to encourage open source contributors, especially if they have the skills, which this person, I believe, does have the skills to harden the code base, improve it, and sort of learn it, but also be mindful of every time that there is a red herring like this, it consumes almost half of my day just to review, to sort of test out the claims. And in this case, which I think is the 3rd time, it was not credible, or at least not correct. And that's not the fault of the contributor. The contributor's contributing, right? But the AI is just not at the place where it can handle these kinds of nuances. And so I think what we need to do is we need to identify a pipeline of sorts, or a set of, at least a set of requirements for open source contributions, to sort of qualify them for review, because, you know, this is the third time, half a day each. So essentially I've spent a day and a half, when we have literal just days until the election, reviewing claims that turn out to be red herrings. So I think maybe in the future, and I'm trying to, this is my first time dealing with this problem. AI is kind of a new thing. So
yeah, no, I do appreciate that. So I think we need to, as a council, guys, make a decision that the script is working as best it can, and we need to kind of stop any more work going on in terms of investigation, which leads us to the conclusion that the script, because of the input of large liquidity over a short period, over a tight range, is causing what really is an unfair distribution in terms of the weighting of incentives. They're all flowing to one wallet, basically. 90, 95, 99% of incentives are going to the one wallet. Should, as a council, we pause the rewards via the script and say this is not fair to the general community? Should we pause it and wait for the hook implementation, which is a lot fairer way of doing it?
On that note, I would agree with you, Ty, but I just want to get clarification, Marcus. If I could just ask you the question, like, what is going to be different from the script that we have now in terms of understanding the reward distribution, different from when it's implemented with the hook? Like, I thought my understanding of the reward distribution is it was essentially the same. So what is changing from doing it the temporary way we're doing it now to the hook implementation way we're doing it later?
Absolutely. So the spec here, and sorry again that it's not yet merged, it is being reviewed, but so the understanding that the suggestion that Leo came up with is the plan of attack for this, and it is a weighting system. So the off-chain reward script, again, so the hook itself is only responsible for making the data available in terms of fees, and what it does is it's just going to tabulate exactly the numbers that Uniswap understands. So the off-chain reward script has the advantage there, where it can pull those numbers from the hook, but the hook will report, again, inflated, not inflated, it'll be correct, but a much higher fee growth for what's called just-in-time liquidity bots. And so that can be grouped into one category. The current, qualification for just-in-time liquidity that the rewards script will understand is if this liquidity fee growth came from the provision of liquidity within a single block, right? Was this an automated bot that saw a swap coming in on the mempool, a large one? Did it provide liquidity just before the swap and then remove it just afterward within the same block? And so that category of sort of that qualification of category can be weighted in a configurable way by the TELx Council Safe. So for just-in-time qualifying, liquidity fee growth, you can weight that 0. Currently, I have it set to 0. We'll just ignore just-in-time liquidity, and we'll say, they're earning enough in fees, they don't need to be compensated by this program. But again, the council can come through and say, well, actually, we want to give them 10% weighting. And that leads me to the second category, which will be something that we've seen more of, actually, than just-in-time liquidity, which is, I would say, sort of active, but generally automated, still automated, but not within the time span of one single block, which is 2 seconds. An active position would be one that is actively managing its liquidity up and down, up and down, up and down, based on the current swap volume. But maybe the course would be, and this is also configurable, by the way, but the lifetime of 1 day, for example. So if the reward script is looking at the hook and sees that there was a position that's been had a lifetime of a day, less than a day, so let's say 23 hours, but it had very high fee growth, especially compared to all the other passive positions, because it was sort of right before a swap, it would go up, maybe it would stay there for an hour or two, then it would come down, or just have like automated actions, but the lifetime of the position was longer than a block and less than a day. It would fall into this category. And the active category can be assigned a weight as well. Again, configurable by the TELx Council. So maybe we would say, well, this is a position that's very active. It may or may not be automated. It's earning more fees than all the other passive positions. So let's assign it a 25% weighting. And then the third category would be the passive. Oh, and the last thing about the active too is that lifetime is configurable as well. So the TELx Council can come in and set that configuration to be 1 day is what the example I rolled with. But if you wanted, you could shorten that to a few hours. You could bump it up to 3 days. That would be under the council's control. And so we have these levers to sort of assign the fairness of how much do active positions fee growth count towards the rewards, how much do the just-in-time liquidity fee growth count towards their rewards, and then the passive being sort of the baseline. That one, I assume, would be like, we'll weight that 100%. But that will also be configurable, so you can change it, you can do, but just rolling off the assumption that passive is kind of basically.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, Marcus. That helps. I think we should set like some standards, because I do think there is value in just-in-time and, again, active or passive. There's value in all three of those, right? It's just, what do we want to incentivize? At the end of the day, the goal of TELx is to provide enough liquidity to drive more volume and swaps through either TELx or through the network eventually, right? So whether or not we want to have it at zero for just-in-time, again, to me, I think maybe there is some incentives that we could provide there, but I think we should get to a point where we have a discussion, and maybe this is offline, but I think we should set a standard on those three different kind of levels and put some, specs in place. I don't think we should be pulling and pushing these levers on a whim, is my point, right? I feel like we should come to an agreement on what percentages we should allocate to each of these buckets. What are the time levers that we should have? Because again, for me too, like if I'm a quote unquote passive liquidity provider, but I put in 4 hours later, tell Moons versus ETH, and I don't want to, suffer the impermanent loss, because once I'm at the top of my range, 100% of my liquidity is in ETH. Well, I'm gonna take that out, probably convert some of it back to TEL, so that I can ride that wave up as it's going up, right? Like, I don't want to be disincentivized because of the volatility in the market.
Yeah, let's take this discussion offline, because it's not prudent to the point being raised, which is, should we be pausing the rewards at the moment? Now, Derek's been making some comments.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. That's a valid point, Don. I just wanted to get a little bit better understanding, and I think it was good to have at least this conversation in an open forum so that people can understand kind of the whole scope of it too. But I'm perfectly aligned with taking it offline and having a conversation how we do that. And to that point, Ty, go ahead, Marcus.
Oh no, that sounds great. And I trust you guys to come up with a solid solution for all this. And I am here to carry out your will. So all you got to do is let me know what decisions you make, and we'll do that. I do have to jump to. We're actually interviewing some candidates, so I've got to conduct a.
Okay, Marcus, one
yes.
last quick question. None of this has to be decided before the audit, correct?
No, the configurations are. Exactly. They can be.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You can decide them on the fly. Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate it, Marcus. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus.
So Ty, to your point, like if we want to put it to a vote now, like I'm in favor of stopping until we have a fair rewards distribution. I'm aligned with you on that. Everybody else, you want to chime in?
Yeah, Derek,
If I
say
could.
something.
Yeah, if I could, because I've been working with Storm on marketing the new pools and everything else, right? I want to provide a different lens of this as well. Certainly understand the rewards piece. It's an important thing, something we've dealt with on the TAN Council also. But I think it is prudent to mention what that will do to the pool itself and what that will do to the base coin and how it looks in the Coinbase ecosystem with limited or low liquidity. It gets flagged and gets looked at as a quote unquote scam, which we know isn't the case, but that's just the way that it shows it. It only shows the base. I've been emailing them back and forth. It only shows the base liquidity. It does not show the entire liquidity, right? So I just want to bring that up because that will potentially cause a drying up of liquidity, which then has a cascading effect. That is something that will unwind some of the work that has already been done with marketing this. So it's certainly understand, but I wanted to make sure that was you guys had understood that from that aspect, because Hermias and I have spent a lot of time with that. So
yeah, sorry, Derek. We don't know if that's actually true though, because the just in time and the MEV kind of methods of providing liquidity, these guys will still get a huge share of the fees, which in any normal liquidity provision should be generating enough of a return for these guys to make it worthwhile.
I
so
agree.
we don't really
I agree, Ty. But all I'm saying is that everyone else, right? And I understand it's a double-sided thing. I just think anytime that you pull any sort of reward system, that person could change it up and go to another pool, right? I mean, again, you're changing the metrics in which people have added liquidity in the first place, and I certainly understand it's a rock and a hard place because it causes people to not even want to contribute in the first place. But I think you're doing the same thing here also, and potentially that person that has large liquidity in there currently with their MEV bot or whatever it may be will likely leave to go. Why would they stay in here and farm just the APR when they could go to another pool and do the same thing with the reward space? So I think it's important just to but keep that in mind in regards to how we've marketed this, and we're trying to be cumulative with our marketing procedures. And
I hear what you're saying, Derek. Yeah, I hear.
And I guess it matters how long it takes for the V4 to come live, the hook to come live, right? If it's 2 weeks, okay, you have 2 weeks where we're going to deal with, again, not my place to say, not my counsel. I just wanted to make sure from a marketing perspective, because I know Julio's on the call as well, that we had brought up how we really tried to frame this out and gotten people excited about it. And I don't want to see that go backwards. So something to keep in mind while you make your decision. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm getting. Yeah. Good point, Derek. Thanks.
So can I just chip in? We've already had some people leave the pools because of this situation. If we decide to stop pool rewards, not just for what Derek's saying, but it's going to make the situation worse because we're now saying to people that you might as well all leave. So, as you say, for the sake of a maximum of 2 weeks, is it worth risking all of that? Where we might be able to just ride it out, and then when the hook comes, it's all going to be resolved.
Yeah, that's my take as well. I think if the hook is supposed to be ready before the elections, and we have all the liquidity migrated to the new pools, it's only 2 weeks from now. So if we set up a proposal right now and put it to snapshot tomorrow, then we have to wait 7 days before it's implemented and then reviewed by the compliance council. So what's the point in drafting a proposal that will get through only 1 week before the elections?
Yeah. Okay. Again, maybe we could continue this discussion offline. I'm just conscious of the time of the meeting, but
yeah, no, I mean, we've got without Matt and Mike's input, we've kind of got an impasse. I think it's, in terms of the council, it's 2-2. I think in terms of the community, I see claps for the rewards to be continuing. So there is a waiting towards just leave the situation as it is now, because we've gotten ourselves into the situation. And for the short time remaining, is it worth it? I don't know, to be honest. I'm asking the question just to get it addressed, really.
Yeah, I think if we don't need to do something, then let's not do anything. If it becomes an issue, we can talk about it. But at the moment, leave it as it is, unless we have another meeting or an exchange of communications outside of this meeting that we'll talk about it. But at the moment, as you say, I think we're saying leave it alone.
Yeah, let's kind of try and get Matt and Mike's opinion on it. But yeah, we're not going to make a decision just now. So let's move on to something else. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So I think the first two items on the agenda we've done: Uniswap rewards distribution, hook implementation and migration. Obviously, migration can't happen until the hook is done. Voting power calculation mechanism. That's going to come with the hook, I guess. That's not really something that we can talk about now, Andrew.
Well, that to your point, Tim, that's just included into the hook. So I think actually maybe it's good to just at least explain again the situation. Once the hook is ready to go, it's implemented, all of the liquidity is going to need to migrate from the current pools that they're in V4 to a new V4 pool. And what you're going to have to do is attach the hook. So I'll work with Storm and putting some material together to get this out, maybe towards the end of this week, next week, and just have some details put together on that whole process so that it's pretty clear. But essentially, we're not going to be able to provide anybody with voting power unless they've used the new pools, used the new hook, and moved all their liquidity from the existing ones.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Right? So if you don't do anything, you don't have any voting power with the current pools on Uniswap right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still got the voting power within the balancer protocol.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is specifically for Uniswap protocol.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Andrew. Okay. Do we have any treasury updates?
On that front, Ty and I talked a little bit last night and yesterday morning for him, just looking at it. I know the Platform Council is looking through Storm's proposal on, some assistance helping with kind of organizational structural stuff. So I'll leave that for their call tomorrow to discuss. But between either that or some communication that Ty and I had, we'll figure out a way to have an accounting of kind of where things are at. But essentially, the simplest way to look at it is pulling the information from Polygon Scan from the TELx Treasury and just mapping everything out in terms of an actual accounting order book where, you've got the debits and credits and a outstanding balance. And at least on a year-over-year basis, we can kind of close the books and say, okay, hey, at the start of the year, you know what, the Treasury gave us 200 million TEL to facilitate incentives and do everything that we need to do as part of the TELx Council to continue to push things forward. You know what, here's all the debits and credits that we had throughout the year. Okay, we finished with a balance of 25 million. Okay, we're going to carry that over to next year. Okay, we start at 25. Oh, Treasury's giving us another 200. Okay, now our starting balance is 225 for year 3. And then we kind of look at it that way. So that's kind of the high level kind of plan on how we wanted to have it look, just so that we can have a little bit more transparency and whether or not we want to make that, forward facing to the community. Maybe that's part of, the Telcoin hub stuff. Derek, maybe me, you and Nick can talk about that down the road too, and maybe integrate some kind of wallet balance for the association on a website like that, just for, again, clear transparency. But essentially that's it. It's just looking at making sure that everything makes sense what we're paying for is actually going out, what we're supposed to have coming in. It's more just to have all of our ducks in a row, that at one point, if we ever get audited, from that perspective, everything is there, everything's documented, we're ready to go.
Right. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks very much. I know that there's been lots of work being done on the TELx University and integrating that into the website. And I guess a full update will follow. But did you want to just touch on the progress of that, because you some of you guys have been doing some really good hard work on that.
Well, I'm not going to take any credit for that. That is all Storm. I don't know. I think we mentioned, is Ermias on, or Julio?
He was.
We're both here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we'll pass it to you guys, and maybe just give us an update.
Oh, cool. I mean, everything is going really well. We've advanced quite far since the last conversation that we had. We're building in parallel to the website being done. Let me share my screen really quickly just to show everybody what we have. Okay, so going forward, when the site is actually live, it will live on our website under /university, but at the moment we're hosting it on the course platform. So this is what they'll see. Keep in mind as we go through this that a lot of the visuals that you see are placeholders. We plan on leveling all those up. But this would be the homepage to TELx University. It has all of the modules here that you can go through. There's 3 tracks. And again, all of this is accessible through the Notion page that we've shared with everybody. Most of the relevant parties on the call have access to the modules that we've created. But in short, when you see it published, this is what it's going to look like. Students will be able to enroll into the course, which will take them into the actual course itself. They can choose which track that they're on. They're still on the kind of beginner track all the way to the governance, which is the advanced. And once they do enroll, it takes them to the actual track. And the track will look similar to this. It's already structured. We have videos for every module. There'll be rewards, as we discussed. Completing the beginner course, for example, gets you an NFT, and there's all the way up to the governance model where you start to get access to certain rewards. And I'm not sure if I share is everybody able to hear the audio on that one?
No.
Yeah, we're just hearing you, Ermias.
Okay, cool. I mean, the audio and the placement of this is really, really quite good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I think, let me try to stop sharing and share just that tab, and it'll just give you a glimpse into kind of which one. Yeah. And I might be able to get you guys to hear the audio. Okay.
Into Telcoin.
You able to hear it then?
Hey
Just at the
everyone,
last second,
welcome to our
we
first class in TELx University. Today we're diving into Telcoin, a platform that's changing the way people send money around the world. Every year, people working abroad send home more than $600 billion to support their families. That's massive. But here's the issue. Sending money is still way too slow and expensive. On average, transfer fees eat up around 6%, and payments can take several days to arrive. So imagine this, you send $100 to your family, and they only get $94 after waiting 3 days for the money to show up. That's just not good enough in today's world. Most people still use traditional services like Western Union or World Remit. They've been around for decades, but the system hasn't really evolved. It's full of middlemen, hidden fees, and outdated processes. It's basically old financial plumbing trying to handle a digital world. And that's exactly where Telcoin steps in, to make global money transfers fast, affordable, and built for the mobile age. So what exactly is Telcoin? It's a financial technology platform that connects mobile money, remittance.
So I know everybody here doesn't need an education on Telcoin, right? But it's just to give you a glimpse, like this is the beginner track where they're getting an education on the very foundation of Telcoin. And of course, once we get to the governance model, this is really where we're getting quite technical into how they are really yeah, really, it's really quite a project that we're all happy to work on. What we do need from everybody here is feedback. We haven't gotten as much feedback as we would have liked on the university module itself. Now, I take that to mean that it's either approved, or many of us on the call may not have as much time to actually go through it. We did get some feedback from William on the concentrated liquidity pools, which we will implement. But just know that we are on it. It's looking really good. We're actually ahead of schedule. The original timeline was to have the first course by the end of this month, which is this beginner track, but it looks like we'll be able to advance probably to the majority of it. So this timeline that we created here for kind of the Q1 of 2026, I mean, we're going to blow that out of the water. So this is ready to go. I would say the obstacle at the moment is the actual site itself. So we can start planning the design around it to have a proper sub menu on our homepage, and yeah, looking good.
Great. Yes, that's really good. Is it just a demo? Because it started to speed up the video, the audio. It sped up quite fast.
No, that was actually me that sped it up, just so I wouldn't bore you guys. Yeah, I mean, here you can. Attention. Yeah, they can control the speed on it, and the thing is, as they work through these modules, they have questions, they have quizzes that they have to take. Each module has a quiz. Julio's also putting some comments in the chat. So it's quite comprehensive, and once they do work through it, they really will have a solid understanding. And keep in mind, like, registering requires you to actually create a wallet, so that's actually driving kind of our metrics that we're trying to pull. So all in all, quite happy. And then again, there's information on kind of like what TELx University is. This drives back to our website. So it's a demand generation model across the whole growth stack. So it's looking good.
Excellent stuff. Quality, really good. Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I know, Ermias, we've been kind of going back and forth on trying to book a meeting to really dive in. I know we kind of had tentatively set tomorrow during the platform council, but if we want to try to work around that, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, no, I would love to walk through everything and kind of see how everything functions and all that kind of stuff. I would say before we kind of release everything to the public, I think we as a council need to kind of go through it, just validate,
right.
Look through it at least, do it at least the service of doing it a once over for sure, if not multiple, look overs, just to make sure that everything is consistent with, the information that we have available, and kind of where things are going. Because I know everything on the TELx website in terms of the about section is very outdated, and just to remind people, the goal here of the TELx University is to kind of replace kind of that about section, and instead of it being quote unquote about, it's going to be more like that educational kind of piece that we wanted, and that's kind of where like the whole, again, university thing ties in.
Okay.
Nailed it. Yeah,
sounds good. And then, if depending on Khalil's timeline, I mean, I think last time we said 4 weeks, which is my thing is, if it takes too long for the actual website, maybe we could host this offsite to start doing some pre-marketing for it. So just essentially what I'm saying is, we're here, we're extremely action oriented, and we want to get this thing live yesterday. So
yeah. Good work, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a round of applause. I think it was a standing ovation there.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's quite motivating. I mean, we're here to satisfy you guys, but really just to get it out to the public. That's really when I feel good, when it's actually out there. People are signing up. It's driving volumes, driving wallet creation. So that's really where the rubber hits the road, right?
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well done. Thank you again. Okay. Right, we're getting 10 minutes to go to the hour point. I've put elections on the agenda only because really to raise awareness, so that between us, can we kind of let everyone know that the elections are are taking place, and kind of tell people or let them know, show them where to go, what to do, how to apply if they want to. I know on some of the unofficial groups we've been dropping hints that people might like to apply, because there's going to be some changes in personnel. But I think we just need to get the information out there. I know there's a post on X. Maybe we could all repost that just to raise awareness. Get it out to people, either who we know or groups where people might find some interest in that.
Yeah, actually, I can say just a few words on that one as well, Ty. Tim. It's top priority for us in terms of the election. Everyone has made it clear that this is something that we need to drive some awareness to. And in terms of organic post, we plan on posting daily for the election all the way up until. And Derek has let us know that we need to use the budget that we have on X to start doing some paid marketing as well. So we're on it in the background, and you should see the results of that quite soon. Derek is sharing the screen, so you can see quite extensive threads that we're putting together on it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And that's just X, or are you into other groups as well?
Well, X is where we have a budget. Ideally, we would like to do PR. We have a network of contacts that are prepared to launch that PR for us. But again, this is something that will require a budget. So we're just trying to balance the time, because it is getting short versus putting together another TELx in order to do the PR. So there's any ways that we can bypass that. We're extremely ready to go to start promoting it.
Okay, well, we'll watch out for the posts, and between us, I'm sure we'll all repost and share in the right places.
Yeah, and any other relative channels where we feel we should promote, we're happy to do it. I mean, X is kind of a central station for that. But if we feel that our audience is on LinkedIn, my first assumption is, I don't know if it would be the place for the election, but happy to do it.
Why not? LinkedIn's good. I'm happy to just reshare on there if that's possible with what you're posting on X. I can turn that into a LinkedIn post. I think we can do that through other channels as well. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, Derek, do you have anything you want to say on that? I know you've been driving us quite hard on this thing and prioritizing it.
Can I just, before Derek steps up, can I just ask, because Derek can answer, is the Telcoin community hub, does it have a tile for like election progress that summarizes the applicants and positions and that sort of thing?
Nick says,
I can't remember.
What I can say is that the Telcoin hub has pretty much everything. Right? I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Right on the screen right here. So we already have a tile built, and Nick already put this up. That links directly to the forums with the announcements right here. So as we get a little further on, we can enhance that, but that is already on telcoinhub.com right under the first tab, which is the elections. I also posted the link for the elections announcement forum in the chat, so please use that to reshare. LinkedIn's fine everywhere, right? We want to cast a large net. A lot of people think that, well, I'm not qualified, I can't apply. I think if you are curious, at least have a conversation with a council member. Reach out however you'd like, because I think there's a lot of different avenues for participation in the council. And as a reminder, as I've told the other councils and on other calls, the purpose of what we're doing is really based on trying to ensure that we are casting a wide net so we get the best applicants possible for this next phase of the project. It's really that simple. We really want to make sure that we never stop innovating and keep things going. So please, if you're considering it, if you have questions, please reach out. Happy to talk about what compensation looks like or what responsibilities look like or anything else like that. This is not voluntary. This is, we do compensate council members for their time. So please reach out. We would be happy to have a conversation, and I'll get off my pedestal now. Thank you.
No, that's a good point. It's not voluntary, it is paid, but with that comes certain accountabilities and responsibilities that really need to be fulfilled on behalf of the people that are elected. I think that's a great point to make. Thanks, Eric.
I'd also just say too, like we're going into, I think, a pretty unique year with the potential launch. Well, not potential, but the launch of the bank, the launch of the network. So again, if you are passionate about, Telcoin, the community, the business, the ecosystem, now is a good time to kind of get in at the forefront of it and help build it. So that'll be something, I think the current council members can put a feather in their cap. We were kind of the originals, and you know what, we can continue to push things forward as well. So like everybody keeps saying, if you've got a passion and you've got a desire to help out, put your name in the hat.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's great. Thanks, Andrew. I think Tim's left the building because he's got a train to catch at 9 o'clock. So I think it's, looking at the agenda, we've covered most. So we've done really well because there was a lot to cover. All that's left is, are there any Q questions from the community that we can help address?
Don't have any right now, but if please, if you're listening in and you have a question, we'll give it a few 30 seconds or so. Please feel free to type it in the chat. I will relay it to the council to answer your question, specifically as it relates to TELx, liquidity pools, anything of that nature that we've talked about today.
And while that's happening, anybody on the call want to raise a hand and ask anything? Will, any comments from your end?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
And nothing else in the chat. So if I miss something, I'll make sure it gets relayed. If you post it late, no problem at all, but nothing right now.
Okie doke. Well, in that case, we might as well just close off. We'll follow up as a council on the points that we've raised and confirm if there's a meeting on the TELx University side scheduled. I think that's still a wee bit up in the air for tomorrow. Is that right, Andrew?
Sorry, say that again.
Just the meeting for the TELx University, the one that's kind of clashing with the platform council. Are we having that? Or? Let's
connect offline and just try to figure out a time that works. If it's not going to be tomorrow, maybe we can try to either make Friday or early next week work. But I think based on Ermias and Julio's enthusiasm, the sooner the better. We can connect to go through some stuff.
Great. Okay, well, let's wrap that up. We've covered a lot of ground, a lot of alpha stuff there. So thanks very much for everybody for participating, and we'll catch you next time.